But US President Joe Biden pledged to work with the opposition party in his State of Union address. And Biden's address is the first to a joint session of Congress since Republicans took House majority in January. And during the ongoing address, Biden has touched on the progress in a post-pandemic economy and called for the two parties to work together in Congress. It says the economy is benefiting from 12 million new jobs and COVID-19 no longer controls American lives now. And since his inauguration 2 years ago, Biden has said he wants to unify the country, but he remains unpopular. And the president's public approval rating stood at 41% after a poll on Sunday, close to the lowest level during his presidency. And that comes as 65% of Americans say they believe the country is on the wrong track. Right now, let's talk to my colleague Kate Fisher in Washington, D.C. Hello there, Kate. Good afternoon from Beijing. First of all, what are some of the highlights from President Biden's address?
Well, as you say, the economy featured pretty highly. He wants to try to convince the American people that despite those low poll ratings, he is the man that can make the economy better and make them feel as though they've got more money in their pockets. He talked about those really low unemployment numbers, the lowest for 50 years. And he also said that he understood how they didn't feel that they were doing as well as they should be. He understood that. He talked about his father. He comes from a working class background. He talks about the importance of jobs and feeling financially secure to try to connect with people who may be watching at home. Another sort of emotional part of the speech that really stood out was when he spoke about police reform. He invited the stepfather and mother of Tyre Nichols to the chamber to hear the speech. They are the parents of Tyre Nichols is the man who was killed at the hands of police officers in Memphis in Tennessee just last week. That was a very emotional moment. You saw a picture of them in the audience. They looked distraught, but there was bipartisan support for police reform with members from both Democrats and Republicans standing to applaud the calls for that. There was less on foreign policy. Most of this was domestically focused for an audience sitting at home, but he did talk about China and said that he wanted competition and not conflict with the Chinese. And he also spoke about the war in Ukraine, saying that that the US would be with the Ukrainians, standing by them for as long as it takes.
Right, and what about the challenges that he's going to face and the country is going to face? For instance, the division of the parties, because House has been controlled by the Republicans now, and the international economy is still looming. What about those challenges?
Yeah, he has real challenges ahead because, as you say, he does not have a Congress that's fully democratic now. The Republicans control the House, which means any of his major legislative objectives are unlikely to pass through. They are unlikely to vote for anything that President Biden wants. He's trying to find some bipartisan issues, things like fentanyl or mental health in children or cancer research that can be supported by both sides. But on those big economic issues, it's highly unlikely he's going to get Republican support. And he's going to have to try to broker a deal over the debt ceiling, which is the biggest thing that's coming up in the next few months. The Republicans say they will not vote to increase the debt ceiling in the US, meaning the US could default on its loans. The Republicans say they'll only do that if Joe Biden gives in to some of their economic demands, which he said he won't do. He says he will not be held to ransom over this.
Thank you very much, Kate Fisher, reporting from Washington, D.C.